Namaste, beautiful friends. This is Elle with Sacred Union Spiritual Wellness, a channel dedicated to uplifting and enhancing your spiritual well-being. This video is part of my video series on twin flames. There is a playlist on my YouTube channel, Sacred Union Spiritual Wellness, and that playlist is titled Twin Flame Video Series. Now, I have twin flame video readings, but this is the twin flame video series, and this is a series of videos that I am hoping assist you in deepening your understanding of the twin flame journey, the alchemical process, and how these energies can truly transform your life. So in today's video, I will be talking about what was often referred to as the divine feminine energy. Let me make a distinction. We are talking about energy and not gender. Gender is relating to the physical avatar characteristics. I am making this distinction because I want you to really truly understand that when I say divine feminine energy, I'm talking about the polarized energy in each incarnated version of each individual. So we all have divine feminine energy and divine masculine energy. They are polarized energies as part of the universal design, that when you incarnate into the 3D, there is polarization. So we have divine, we have masculine, we have feminine. We have top, we have bottom, we have up, we have down, we have good, we have negative, we have positive, we have negative. We have, open, closed, an equal and opposite reaction to each polarized energy. So let's think about polarization for a moment. So let's imagine a magnetic bar. We all use these in science lab in middle school and in high school. We had a magnetic bar, and on one end of the bar it said south, and on one end of the bar it said north. These are the polarized energies. Instead of using, left and right, they use north and south on these bars because it reflects the Earth's magnetic field that is created from polarized energies, the north and south poles. Now it's making sense. Okay, so we have polarized energies. We have masculine energies and we have feminine energies. That's just a universal law, that when something incarnates in the physical or comes into physical being, there's going to be a polarization. There's going to be an equal and opposite energy that exists in third dimensional energy. Okay, so we have this polarized energy, and just like the Earth's poles, the north and south pole, they are opposite ends of a magnetic field. As these come into union, they create the magnetic field of the planet. This magnetic field is a toroidal field, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment. So please stay to the end of this video, because until you get the full explanation, it's going to be very hard to truly understand what the divine feminine energy is. Okay, so we create, each of us has this polarity in ourselves. We all have masculine and feminine energies, and this creates a magnetic field with us, which is called a toroidal field too, or we refer to it often as aura. Toroidal field is a little bit lengthy, so we use aura. Okay, and your aura is created from your vibration, which is the way your unification of these energies. If your energies are being unified from distorted energies, your magnetic field, your toroidal field, or your aura is going to be distorted. It means that when it interacts with the quantum, it's going to have a distortion, an impurity. So if you haven't seen the video on the twin flame alchemical process, I explain that twin flame energy is an alchemical process that burns away the distortion or ego so that we can come into sacredness, consciousness, and unconditional love. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that when we talk about sacred feminine energy. But right now, when we incarnate here, we incarnate into a programming system. And the intention of our incarnation is to expand the consciousness of the God consciousness, or the one consciousness, from our own unique perception and experiences in the third dimension in this incarnation, and be able to use that as expanding the overall consciousness from which we come. That's kind of our mission, our goal here, our purpose for incarnation here. So as we incarnate here, we incarnate into a particular family, a particular sets of programming, and we then integrate that, and we experience our world from that programming. But ultimately, we were going to experience that to gain some wisdom and insight. But then at some point in our pre-incarnation planning video, we wanted a fail-safe to help us wake up our soul's consciousness so that we can use those prior experiences, even though they were from a distorted program, in order to fulfill our mission here, which is to expand the greater consciousness. So we, in our pre-incarnation plan, put a fail-safe in because we know our soul. And in order to make sure we didn't get caught in this program for the entire incarnation, we incarnated into two separate avatars, or two separate physical beings, with the intention that when we were ready, our other self would come into us. We would send out this little beacon. We would magnetize them into us by a shift in our toroidal field. And we would then meet our twin flame, our other self incarnated. And that interaction would start the alchemical process of burning away the old programming, the old ego, so that we can come into, or so we can transition from distorted feminine into divine feminine, and then eventually into sacred feminine. What's the difference? Distorted feminine is feminine energy that is being influenced by prior programming that is not in alignment with the all consciousness, with God consciousness, but it is a like a conceptual framework built upon the ego of others, the ambition of others, the control of others, and these are systems. They are traditions. They can be belief systems that have been encapsulated, and they then influence you from birth. And this is your parents' belief systems, your religious belief systems, your community belief systems, your educational belief systems. All of these start to influence you. But they're not created from sacred energy. We'll talk about that in a minute, so stick with me. They are not created from sacred energy. They are created from distorted energy. So they influence you and they create a version of you that is distorted feminine energy. And then your soul starts to wake up. You then meet your twin, if you're a twin flame, and you realize that this distortion energy has created a lot of wounding and a lot of spiritual distortion. But then you realize when you start the alchemical process that you are a soul having a human experience in a third dimension, and that you're here for a reason. You awaken to a fact that you have a purpose. You may not know what that purpose is yet. Oftentimes you are following your passions, which are helping direct you to your purpose. But you are just coming into awareness of your own consciousness and how your consciousness is a part of the God consciousness. So then you start the alchemical process of burning away the distortions, the old ego-based systems, belief systems that have influenced you, and for which you have developed your own ego in order to protect yourself from the misalignment of these belief systems. So that ego has to go through the alchemical process and be burned away in order for you to become the sacred feminine. The sacred feminine is the feminine of unconditional love without ego, because that is what God consciousness is. It is consciousness without ego. So, you meet your twin flame, and I talk about the alchemical process, so I'm not going to go through all of that right now. Please check out that video on the alchemical process. It will explain that whole bit. But what I want to focus on now is the divine feminine energy. Now that she has become consciously aware of the programming, the distortions, the wounding, and the need to bring all of that into alignment, that is the work of the divine feminine. And oftentimes that is triggered by the twin flame journey, which you pre-planned before you incarnated here, because you wanted to make sure. You wanted to make sure there was absolutely no escaping your ascension in consciousness, so that you can make a sacred contribution to the God consciousness, the consciousness of all, because that's what you came down here for. Okay, so in your divine feminine energy, when you meet your twin, it shifts your vibration, it shifts your frequency. And what that does is it activates this divine feminine energy in you. Now, the divine feminine energy is about creationism. It is taking light energy, photon energy, which is wave energy from the sun, and decoding that energy, receiving it. That's why the divine feminine is a vessel, almost like the Holy Grail. Receiving that light energy and being able to decode that light energy and use that decoding to be able to create. So all energy is wave energy. So we take this light wave energy, and the divine feminine downloads that or receives that energy, and she decodes it. And divine feminine energy then uses that decoding to transform that toroidal field. It changes it into a higher vibration. And what this does is it interacts with the quantum field, and that quantum field is then changed by the divine feminine's toroidal field. The earth has a toroidal field. We already talked about that. That toroidal field is the magnetic field of the planet. Animals use it to migrate because they navigate by that toroidal, their interaction of their toroidal field with the toroidal field of the planet. And we, as divine feminine energies, are able to interact with the toroidal field or the magnetic field of the planet and help to raise the vibration of the planet. When we raise the vibration of the planet, we affect all things. We raise the vibration of humanity. So those souls that came down here that need to awaken, as we uplift the vibration of the planet, of the consciousness, then the light codes, because their vibration has changed and their toroidal field has changed, they can interact with the quantum, and then they can absorb those light codes. And those light codes help in the ascension process, which is the expansion of consciousness. When you ascend, you are moving into consciousness. Okay, so why does the divine feminine often wake up first? Because she is the creator. She can come into alignment with her masculine and feminine energies. The divine feminine is the emotional energy, the heart center. She is also the manifester, or the creation, where she can manifest things into the physical, like giving birth. Only the divine feminine energy, only the divine feminine can give life into another incarnation. So from that place of alignment of her emotional energy, feminine energy, with her masculine energy, the thought energy, when those come into alignment, it's called heart-brain coherence. That creates the aura, or the toroidal field, the energetic field. And that's what your aura is. It's the extension of the energy outside your physical being, created from your heart-brain coherence. Now, if you're in disharmony, you're going to create a distorted aura. If you are in alignment, your aura, your toroidal field, is more in alignment with the toroidal field of the planet and the consciousness. So your impact from that positive, loving, unconditional love toroidal field interacts with the quantum, which is this surrounds everything, and that has an effect on everything the quantum touches. We're all connected through the quantum. So my aura is an extension of my alignment, and that then influences the quantum, which touches everything else. So my responsibility, my mission, my goal here is to have a toroidal field that interacts with the quantum in a positive and uplifting way, so that I benefit all of humanity and the planet, because our toroidal field interacts with the toroidal field of the planet. And so we elevate and help repair and heal the planet, who is of service to the consciousness, in order to provide a venue for the incarnation and the perception and the lessons learned here in the 3D experience to expand consciousness. The planet provides the service or the venue for that to occur. Now, the Divine Feminine meets her twin. She starts to realize the programming, the healing that needs to occur, coming into alignment, her power of creationism to be able to create from the quantum, the interaction from the quantum as well as her toroidal field. And that's going to attract certain experiences to her in order to learn and grow. But she wakes up first in order to start the alchemical process, because she is the creator. She gives life to the connection. She brings her energy to the connection, and she goes through the alchemical process. Well, they go through it together, but she goes through the alchemical process in more emotional ways. And she then is able to influence the connection from no longer being distorted, but from that divine feminine energy, which then, because of the quantum and the connection, is going to influence the masculine energies, awareness of the distortions, and then start their alchemical process of burning away the ego, coming into alignment, so that they too can become divine feminine energies, or divine masculine energies, and then eventually sacred masculine energies. Okay, so in order to create, all things have to start in the vibration. And the vibration is influenced by the light codes that the divine feminine then decodes and then turns into like usable energy for manifestation and creation in the third dimension. Okay, now the masculine can do this too. Remember, we all have masculine and feminine energies. So we are all polarized. Union, and I'll do a whole video on what is union. Union is when we bring that polarized masculine energy and the polarized feminine energy together to create the toroidal field. From this toroidal field, all things are created. All the things that we desire to create, we create from that toroidal energy. So either we're creating from distorted energy or we're creating from healed, positive energy. And we're going to talk about this in a minute. What we create affects all things. Okay, so as we shift from this divine feminine energy, which is the divine feminine becoming consciously aware, doing the healing work, which she often has to do in isolation, or what you would term as separation. Why? Because the focus has to be solely on her energy and unification of her polarized energies. If she is focused on the other incarnation, the polarized physical incarnation, that becomes a distraction, and that creates a runner-chaser dynamic. That doesn't unify where the two opposite polarities come together in union to create the toroidal field. It creates a separation energy, and it extends the polarization. So in order to unify the masculine and feminine energies within each being, there has to be an introspection, because that's where the wounding is carried. And that has to all be kind of analyzed and disassembled. Usually that's what is prompted by the dark night of the soul. And then the divine feminine begins to focus on herself. And the divine masculine provides the mirror or the reflection of what needs to be healed. So in case you were left wondering about, well, I don't know where the wounding is, that masculine's going to come in and it's going to trigger that until you go through that alchemical process where you are transmuting that wounded, distorted energy into divine energy and then into sacred energy. So as you go through the alchemical process, you're in divine feminine energy. But once you have completed, kind of burned away all the impurities which are contained in your ego and your old programming, you step into sacred feminine energy. This is energy of unconditional love, which is what the consciousness is. And you can't be part of the consciousness from a distorted energy. You can't contribute to the consciousness from a distorted energy because the consciousness only can be in the frequency of unconditional love because there is no ego. Distortion has the ego involved. Sacredness is no ego and pure love. Unconditional love is pure love. So the alchemical process burns away the distorted programming of what love is to the sacred knowledge and truth about the purity of love as unconditional love. So you can only be in sacred feminine energy when you get into unconditional love frequency. And that is in alignment with the consciousness. Okay. And when you're in the frequency of unconditional love, your toroidal field is easily meshed with the consciousness of all. But when you create from that vibration of the toroidal field that is manifested from your unification of your polarities without ego, the impurities are all gone. You then are creating from unconditional love. And anything you create from this vibration is going to be positive and beneficial to all things, to the consciousness, to the quantum field, to Mother Earth, to humanity, to all sentient souls. And that's what your mission is. Oftentimes, that's individualized based upon what your passions are. Your passion is your purpose. And everybody has a different passion, and each individual soul has a different purpose. Now, when we're talking about that with twin flames, and please check out the other videos, you as a twin flame can have an individualized purpose, or you may have a combined purpose with your twin, where you create something together as combined energies, as sacred masculine and sacred feminine, or you can have an individualized purpose. That is part of your pre-incarnation plan. What you create from your sacred energies is determined by your pre-incarnation plan, and then you set up all this stuff in order to make that happen so that you can fulfill that purpose. Okay, let me see. I'm checking my notes. Okay, so this, when the Divine Feminine translates this light energy through the filter of unconditional love. So as you go through the Divine Feminine process, the alchemical process, but then you get into the Sacred Feminine energy, and you are transmuting these light codes, this light energy, this wave energy, into through your unconditional love frequency. It amplifies it and it radiates it not only to the earth grid, but also to your own prana, your own toroidal field, your own magnetic energy. So then you begin to magnetize yourself to attract, law of attraction, the experiences that are going to uplift and sustain that sacred energy. Now, when you're in distorted energy, you're attracting things that amplify the distortion. When you get into your divine feminine energy, you attract things that are going to alchemize your energy to move it towards sacred feminine energy. When you get to the sacred feminine energy, you're going to attract or magnetize things that are going to radiate more positive benefits from that sacred unconditional love energy. Okay, let's see if there's anything else. And then what you attract here provides the experiences to expand the consciousness even further, but in a positive unconditional love frequency, since you've transmuted and alchemized all of the distortions out. Let's see. I think that's everything. I will do another entire video on the divine masculine energy and how that goes from the distorted to the sacred. And I will also do another video on what is union. I've touched on a little bit of it here, but union's going to be differentiated based upon what your pre-incarnation plan was. What did you want to achieve from your sacred energy? And how was that alchemical process going to support that, getting to that sacred consciousness energy? Okay? So I think I've covered everything in this one as far as the divine feminine energy and how we go through the process through the twin flame journey from being distorted feminine to divine feminine to sacred feminine. And I hope that helps to clarify it for you and why this journey is so important for you. I look forward to seeing you again very soon. And until then, my beautiful friends, namaste. Thank you so much for your likes, your subscribing to my channel, and your very kind comments. I hope you found this video helpful. Please check out my other videos for other messages that will help you enhance your spiritual well-being. I'm Elle, and I hope you have a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you again. Until then, my dear friends, namaste.